Hello, Math 133 students. I received a question about how to do this problem, which is 4.1 number 33. Now, I've actually modified this particular problem for the version that students have to do for their homework. I've cut some sections out of it. But if you want to see this version, which has a lot more in it that we don't cover, in particular, it has the critical value tables, which I've cut from section 4.1. They come back up in chapter 14 if you're interested. The way I'm getting there into this particular problem is going to the study plan and going to, which is available under student resources. So in the main menu, you go to student resources, you click on study plan, and then I tell it that I want all chapters, and then I click on chapter 4, which I click on this little plus sign, and I know it's section 4.1, and then I'm in particular interested in 4.1 number 33. So that's how I'm getting there. But again, most of this question I've actually cut from this particular example, but this way you have a sense of it. Okay, so I'm not going to do the problem, I'm going to do an example which will be very similar to the problem. So researchers wonder where the size of a person's brain was related to the individual's mental capacity. They selected a sample of 5 females and 5 males and measured their MRI counts and IQ scores. The data is recorded to the right. So the first thing they want you to do is draw a scatter diagram treating the MRI count as the explanatory and the IQ as the response variable. So that's kind of putting them all together in one big group. So I'm going to open this data set in Excel. So I clicked on that little icon and I'm going to open it in Excel. So I clicked Open Excel. You could also copy to the clipboard and do it in Google Spreadsheet if you so desired. And I do trust this, so I'm going to click Enable Editing. And I'm actually going to make this all a little bit bigger so we can all read it a little bit better. So there we go. Okay, so I've got females MRI, females IQ, males MRI, and males IQ. So what they want me to do for the first part is to treat MRI and IQ as the only things. So I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to highlight the females and hit Control C, or you could hit Home and copy, either one. I'm going to go over here to, I just put it in any column. It doesn't really matter where you put it. But I put it over here and I hit Control and V, or I hit Home, Paste, either one of those. And then I'm going to make this column a little wider. So I'm going to move my cursor up so it's a double-sided arrow and double click, and then it makes it wide enough. Now I'm going to go down here and grab the males. So I'm going to do the same thing. Highlight the males' numbers, not their title. I don't need that. I just want the numbers. And I hit Control C, go down here and hit Control V. It's still not wide enough. There we go. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the female IQs and the male IQs. And I have to keep everything together and organized. Now from here, I could do a lot of things. I could make a scatter diagram if that was what they want me to do. I could actually go type these into my calculator and make my calculator do the scatter diagram. Calculator is actually a little cleaner for that and smaller. So let me just show you how to do it in the calculator real quick. So I go to Stat, Edit, clear out my old columns, and then I have to very carefully type in all these numbers. I mean, this is going to be tedious, and I'm definitely going to pause the video so that you don't have to watch me type. But that's what you'd have to do. So you have to type carefully all the MRI numbers and then all the IQ numbers, but for the whole group. So let me type that in 1 second. There we go. I've got those typed in. Now don't be afraid about the fact that a couple of them got a little strange, namely the ones that are over 1 million. That's because the width of the column that you're typing in is restricted to only like 6 characters. So these two over here, they're actually, it's all there, but it's putting it into scientific notations. That's why there's a little E in there. All right, so then we would hit, let's think here, we want a scatter plot. So go to Y equals, go up and press enter. And that should be a scatter plot. You can check whether it's a scatter plot by hitting second stat plot if you so desire. And you can see stat plot number 1, I just turned it on in Y equals. That's why it says on. It has a little scatter diagram. It's going to be list 1 and list 2. Everything's great. So then I hit zoom 9, and there we have it. So the zoom and the 9, zoom's 9 fits with zoom's stat. Stat being the stat plot that we just turned on. All right, so zoom 9, and it's there even if you have an older calculator and you can't see it on the screen. There's a little arrow and it's down there. So if you just hit the 9, it'll automatically grab it. And there you can see it matches the scatter diagram that we have to choose from right there. All right, so then they want the correlation coefficient. Now in Excel or in the calculator, it's really easy to find. Let me show you the calculator first. You just go Stat, Calculate, pick number 4, which is linear regression. And then you go down to, well, L1 and L2, or your X's are L1, your Y's are in L2, and then go down to Calculate and press Enter. And there it is, 0.654. Of course, I have my mode stat diagnostics on. So at the very bottom of your mode screen, you should have stat diagnostics over here on the on. If you don't see that, then you needed an upgrade. You can get that for free from the Center for Student Success. You can actually get it online from Texas Instruments. You just have to connect your calculator to your computer. But if you look for TI-84 upgrade free, etc., you can get that. All right, so that's how to do it with the calculator. Real quick, let me show you with Excel because it's so easy. All you do is type equals correlation of this column. Here, let me do it. Equals correlation, and I highlight this column, comma, and then I highlight this column. Just the data set. I don't need the letters up at the top. And I hit enter, and there you go. Now if I gave this more decimal places, it would actually give me more if I made it wider. So if that bothers you, you can hit round parentheses first. So you're saying round this correlation and round it to comma 3 decimal places. And then it'll do so. And there you go. So there's R. Done. Okay, so now for the next parts, they want us to find the correlation. Oh, by the way, I was right, 0.654. They probably want us to find the correlation for each group individually, because I've cut this whole critical value thing. That's at looking at a table in the textbook if you're interested. They have a table and you just kind of look at it and say, hey, n was 10 because there were 10 here, and then you just grab the table and go grab it. It's right here. There's the table. N is 10, there's 0.632. But we're not doing that particular thing. So then we want to draw a scattergram by using a different plotting symbol for each gender. Okay, well that's a little bit trickier to do. So, but we can manage it very carefully. So I'm going to go back to the calculator. And I'm going to go back to Stat and Edit first. So what I want to do is I want to take the 5 scores that are female and leave them there. And I'm going to delete out the 5 scores that are males. This is not something we do very often, but I can do it. So I just go down to the top male score, which is this 1 million and change, and I hit delete, and it'll delete, 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 delete. You could also just clear, enter, and retype them all if you wanted, because you need the females here in L1 and L2, and I want to put the males here in L3 and L4. Sorry, I gotta do this. So 1, 1, 2, 1, enter. Sorry, I know watching me do this is like watching paint dry, but it'll be relatively quick. All right, so once you have these in there, what we want to do is make it so that it finds or a scatter plot for both groups separately and then graphs them together. And we can do that by turning on a different stat plot. So normally when you go to y equals, you have plot 1 and you have plot 2. So I'm going to turn them both on. Right, so plot 1 is on, plot 2 is on. What I'd like is for the plot 1 to be the females and the plot 2 to be the males. That's my plan. But of course, if I look at my stat plot right now, it's doing L1, L2, L1, L2 for both of them, which is not what I want. So I'm going to go to plot 1 for a second. Plot 1 was female. So I'm going to go down here, and just for the sake of, baby shower colors everywhere, I'm going to make them red. So the females are red. I have the advantage of doing this on a color calculator. If you don't have a color calculator, then what you could do is say the females are going to be the box shape, but the males are going to be the little plus sign shape. That's another way to do this. So then I'm going to go back to stat plot, and I'm going to go down to number 2, or just press the number 2, that'll work. And now I want to tell it L3 and L4, because my men are in L3 and L4. And there they are. So I'm going to make them have a plus sign. I'm going to make it blue. So I'm going to kind of move back here with my left arrow. And again, color calculators have the advantage of having color, but you could also use different symbols and that would work. All right, now I'm going to hit zoom. I'm going to hit 9. And there we go. We can see the females are those red dot or red boxy kind of things, and then the males are those blue kind of plus sign things. Now they'd all show up as dots on the MyStatLab graph, but you can see this graph is matching what we've got on the calculator. And honestly, that's the best way to do it. The calculator does a better job of this even than Excel. I mean, you can do it in Excel, but it's tedious. So with the calculator, it's pretty straightforward. It's all under stat plot. Plot 1 needs to be on. It needs to be L1 and L2. Pick a color, pick a shape. Again, color is only an option for color calculators. Plot 2 needs to be L3 and L4 and be a plus sign. Oh, and real quick, I got L3 and L4 down here by hitting second 3, right, because that's where L3 is, and then second 4. I did it without even thinking about it. And then hit zoom, 9, and away we go. Now I want the correlation for that other group. So I want the correlation for each group. That's the next bit. So they want us to find the correlation for just the females and just the males. Okay, well, in the calculator I can do that by stat, calculate, number 4, linear regression. Now L1 and L2, because I got rid of the men out of that group, will now just be the female score. So I go down to calculate and I get 0.426, which is exactly what they say I should get, 0.426. Then I rerun it, stat, calculate, number 4 again, linear regression, but this time I want second L3, because that's where my men's X values were, and second L4, that's where the men's Y values are. And I go down to calculate and press enter. And there we have it, 0.336, just like they say it will be. Now in Excel, it's even easier, to be honest. So in Excel, you just type equals round, because I want to round this, parentheses, correlation, parentheses. So I'm opening up 2 parentheses, 2 left parentheses. And then I tell it where it is. So I say, I want these female scores, so A2 colon A6, comma, these female IQ scores. Close parentheses. Tell it how many decimal places you want to round, so comma, 3. Close your parentheses. And Excel actually colors the parentheses for you. You can see the red ones are going with the correlation and the black ones are going with the round. So I hit enter and there we go. It's the same value that the calculator gave me. So whichever way you're more comfortable. Then I just hit Control C. I highlight these 2 cells, hit Control C, and then go over here and hit Control V, and it automatically changed it to the male's values for me. Nice. And there you go. And it matches. You can see Excel will work just as well as the calculator, and Google Spreadsheet is exactly the same as what we're doing right here. So that would work too. I hope that helps.